preventive care. So that was really good for seniors. And even though Donald Trump, being a businessman, has told us that he wants to decrease regulations, we had two good regulations that came through Obamacare, and that was the regulation where electronic data, medical data, needed to be electronically simulated, electronically synced, so that if you go to one doctor's office and then you go to another doctor's office, the second doctor would know what the first one has prescribed. So that's really a good benefit for seniors.
Now, one of the big snafus, if you can remember, is when he goes, and if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. But that didn't happen. That was bad because as well as several of our listeners, they like their doctor, and especially if you have a doctor that's a good one and not a quack, you don't want to get rid of them.
That's right. So hopefully that will be a change that we can see coming in through Obamacare, through TRUMPCARE. He said he liked it. He said it was completely okay if we called it TRUMPCARE. But through the changes with TRUMPCARE, that we would be able to continue to use our favorite doctors. And Keith, another benefit that a lot of people don't realize, and this corresponds not only to seniors but to everyone in this plan, is the hospital readmittance reimbursement. So, for example, if you were sick and in the hospital and you had to come back into the hospital after your dismissal within the time frame of, say, 30 days, then the reimbursement cost to the hospital for Medicare would be lower. So hospitals kind of had to beef up their bargain and understand that, okay, we've really got to make these folks well because we don't want them coming back into our system. So those are some of the benefits. Now, basically, what's happening is we're going to see some changes, and what we can coordinate that is we've got to keep the seniors happy. 53% of seniors, those folks 65 and over, voted for Trump. So he said he's going to stick to his words, and he is going to continue to have the benefits of Medicare, and that he is not going to...
He's not going to do away with it. There's tens of millions of Americans that obviously depend on those benefits, so that would... And his contestant, he would not, his party, Washington would not allow him to get away with that. That was a scare tactic on the left to try to get people to vote for her.
Right. He told the Daily Signal in May during the primaries, but he said, I'm not going to cut Social Security. I'm not going to cut Medicare like everyone else and like every other Republican wants to do. And he also told us, I think, Val, down in your neck of the woods, down in Orlando, he says, I will repeal the disaster called Obamacare, and I'm going to create new health care with all types of reforms that will work and benefit you and your family. So there is promise there. And, he's a man, we have seen in these last 10 days in office, how he's keeping to his word.
Well, and thank God for that. The problem has been that people's premiums have just skyrocketed and out of control, and you don't hear Obama saying anything to that regard because it's true. And then the other thing is, the reason is he says that not enough people are actually signing up for it. Well, there's a reason for that. There's employers that would love to offer insurance, but they simply can't afford it because the premiums are just astronomical. So, I think the premise of Obamacare, the way that it was broken down and what it was told, I think they had great intentions. Senator Kennedy, the late Senator Kennedy, I think they wanted people that couldn't afford it to have it, and that all would be insured, and that all of us would be under the umbrella, and then we would all be into that pay system. The problem is that it wasn't fair, and it hurt the people and the employers where it just didn't benefit anybody, and there wasn't any really good answers as to why these things happened.
You're exactly right, and that's another concept of always wanting to know the why. Basically, Keith, we've got two groups. In very user-friendly terms, Obamacare, pretty much as all health insurance, is made up of two groups. And each group pays in money, and each group can take out like a medley of healthcare services when they get sick. Now, the difference is how much do the people in a group pay in and how much do the people in another group take out. And so basically these groups are titled the younger group and the older group. And we say the younger group because the majority of the younger folks don't take out of the group because their basic concept is that with youth you have good health, right? So the older group has been paying in for quite some time, and they're now starting to take out more so than the younger group is paying in. So you're right. Obamacare, the younger are not paying in to offset the older group.
That's right.
If we don't make some changes, the system will collapse. Now, I don't think it will collapse because of our population and the baby boomers are aging out of the healthcare system.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have our population level more equal, which would be good. But it's going back to the brass tacks of why it's not working.
Management. The buck stops here. Somebody to take responsibility for it. Somebody that somebody can actually reckon the numbers, and healthcare secretary that can wrap his mind around and find some people that could make these numbers work. And I've said this repetitively. On my program, we'll continue doing it. What a good CEO does is he stops the bleeding.
Right.
And that's what he's going to do. And he's going to stop the bleeding, more importantly, for those that voted him in. And for all Americans, even if you didn't vote for him, it's going to be fair for everybody. And I know you believe that. And I don't think Trump is going to go back on his word because, obviously, he's going to start acting like a politician. He's going to want to be reelected.
Right.
It's got to work. It's hurt a lot of families. It's hurting a lot of the seniors, especially out in Arizona. And I don't know what Senator McCain can do out there, but I know those folks are hurting out there, and they, in the worst way, they need this to be adjusted. And there's people, and I don't know if you've heard this around the country, that Obamacare has squeezed them so much with the premiums that they can't even get all their medications. And
not only that, but they can't even afford their copays.
That's it. They go in, right, and the copays are not cheap. They're not cheap. No. And it depends on the medication. If you're on insulin, certain kinds of insulin, that's expensive.
And, he had, I think it was January 31st, a couple of Tuesdays ago, Trump met with Big Pharma, right? Johnson & Johnson, Merck, all the top pharmaceutical companies. And he said, look, it's not working. You've got to lower your prices, and we've got to make the drugs in America. And he said, I also want to open it up for smaller pharmaceutical companies. You've got to make some changes in your price pyramid.
How about that?
We've got to open it up. I was really encouraged to hear him that couple.
Yeah, opening it up to make it a fair place where you don't got this monopoly, and that's the problem with Big Pharma. Is that they've had a monopoly, and you've heard this with certain drugs that people have because nobody else makes it, or if there is, so happens to be a generic, people don't want the generic because it doesn't really necessarily have the same effect. And that is true with a lot of medications, even though they will try to tell you that it's exactly the same. In a lot of instances, it's not the same.
That's exactly right. It's not, because it's manufactured differently. The end result is hopefully the same, but they're manufactured differently, and so the concept of the manufacturing eases into the ability to get well or not get well. They're not the same. You're totally right.
I wish.
Trump said too. Trump said too that he's really concerned about the price fixing, by the biggest dog in the market, Medicare, and he says that there's some Medicare problems in regards to accepting those big prices. We've got to put our foot down and say, no, we're not accepting your prices. Give us a better price. So I'm real encouraged with that aspect.
Yeah, negotiating, with the prices, and actually have somebody, again, working for the American people, looking out for the little guy. And we call them Mr. and Mrs. America, who get up every day and go to work, or have put their time in. They've worked, they've paid their taxes, and now they're trying to make their money work for them, so through retirement. But the problem is, if they can't fix this, they're not going to be able to properly retire. A lot of these retirees are stressed out, and they're working jobs at 80, 90 years old they never anticipated to work, and I feel real bad for them.
Well, I don't really feel bad for them for still needing to work. They maybe go part-time, because keeping your brain active and functioning and engaged is a key way to aging successfully.
From that perspective, yes. From that perspective. Yes. But if you're a CEO, CFO, or you've ran a company and being a Walmart greeter, I guess that would be rather interesting. But yeah, getting out of the house, going to church, socializing, philanthropy, volunteering your time, getting out of don't be a couch potato. I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you. All right. Well, let's transition. That's a good idea. You just made the turn, so let's make the turn. You're known as the Brain Nerd. How did he get that name?
Well, my former career, I was a political operative. I had a marketing company, and I would help get candidates elected to office. And so I helped my husband become an appellate judge in our state. But when that happened... Wow,
that's a big feat. You helped him become a judge?
I did.
How did you do that? You helped him study?
Well, no, I helped him in his campaign.
I see. Wow, so you were his eyes, his voice. I mean, it's a lot of work, campaign. We just saw what this election brought, for Trump and all the work that had to be done. But man, it's a lot of phone, a lot of greeting, a lot of conversation. I mean, that's a lot of sleepless nights. Yeah,
I was the Kellyanne Conway for him to get him elected.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
That's a big job.
Consequently, in our state, though, we have this, what they call a canon law. And the canon law says that if you are elected to the state Supreme Court or the state appellate court, you nor your spouse can raise money, contribute, put a yard sign in your yard, a bumper sticker on your car for any political candidate. So consequently, my career was pulled out from under me, needed a new career, needed to go in a new direction, and my mother said, honey, you have been so good, always good with your grandmother, especially when she was in the nursing home, taking care of her mental capacity problems. Why don't you look into that? And so as consequently I did, and so became a dementia administrator and dementia practitioner. And now I'm a dementia prevention specialist, and I go around and I talk to churches, groups, senior groups, all about how to age successfully and how to fight dementia.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. And we're going to pick your brain. We got to clear a break for our affiliates across the country. But we're going to learn more about what you do. Our guest, ladies and gentlemen, Janet Rich Pittman. And we're going to discuss, when we come up, from the Brain Nerds, dementia prevention, how we can avoid being a casualty. We'll be back with For the People right after this.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people, for the people, for the people is there.
For the People is on the air for you. Each day we strive to tell it to you straight, not watered down, so you can know what's going on each day. Our show is different from many of the others on air. We're not afraid of the PC police, and we explain our position, at the same time understanding the left's position and what we can do to further a conservative agenda for America. For the People is listener-supported and relies on listeners like you to help us get the word out. So, if you like what we do and want to help For the People, sign up today at our website at forthepeopleshow.com. That's forthepeopleshow.com. Your support allows us to report the news fearlessly and guarantees our survival on the air. As a thank you, we'll send you our monthly newsletter with commentary and money-saving tips. Can we count on your support? Thank you for helping America. To become a For the People member, log on to forthepeopleshow.com. Now.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Hi, I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh, okay.
Well, we were building a bonfire, and I saw some, dry brush and leaves around, so, I said to move the bonfire somewhere else, and out of nowhere, Smokey Bear shows up and hugs me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. He likes it when people help prevent wildfires. It hits him close to home. Not everybody gets the hug, my friend. So that's pretty special to get a hug from Smokey Bear.
So it was him. Hey, guys, I told you it was Smokey.
Okay, well, congratulations, my friend. And thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent